Welcome. Do you ever read a news story and feel like you're missing something? Like there's a whole other layer just beneath the surface? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're not just going to look at a big news event, we're going to learn how to take it apart piece by piece like an expert. Think of this as your new toolkit for understanding what's really being said.
So here's our game plan. We've got a 4-part roadmap. First, we'll get the basic facts straight. Then, we'll learn some really crucial vocabulary. After that, we'll analyze the strategic language everyone's using. And finally, we'll zoom out and look at the whole shebang. Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, first things first. Before we can get into any of the spin or the strategy, we just need to know the simple facts. What actually physically happened here? Let's just establish our ground truth.
Okay, so at the absolute center of all this is a pretty major event. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is giving testimony to a congressional committee, and this committee is looking into the whole network surrounding the infamous sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein.
But you have to ask, what's the real point of a hearing like this? I mean, it's never just about getting simple answers. It's about shaping a story, a narrative. And in this case, you've got two completely different stories that are about to collide. Big time.
So from the Republican side of things, the story is this. This is a mission for justice. The committee chair, James Comer, he frames this whole thing as a nonpartisan search for transparency. He's saying, look, we just want accountability for Epstein's victims, and we don't care who gets caught in the process.
And interestingly, the top Democrat on the committee, Robert Garcia, says pretty much the same thing. His message is, hey, we'll question anybody. Democrat, Republican, rich, powerful, doesn't matter. So on the surface, it looks like they're totally on the same page. But, as we're about to see, that's kind of where the agreement stops.
Okay, to really understand what's going on, you've got to know the language. These are some key legal terms that you'll hear thrown around, and they're super important for understanding the strategy behind the headlines. Let's break them down. Testify. Now this isn't just chatting. To testify means to formally give evidence. It means every single word you say is being put on the official record. So yeah, every syllable counts.
And what makes testifying so incredibly serious is this little phrase, under oath. This is a legally binding promise to tell the truth. If you lie while you're under oath, that's a crime called perjury. The stakes just went way, way up.
So what if somebody just doesn't feel like showing up to testify? Well, that's where this word comes in, subpoena. A subpoena is a legal order. It's not a request, it's a command. It forces you to show up or hand over documents whether you want to or not.
And lastly, we have deposition. A deposition is basically testimony, but it happens outside of a big formal courtroom, usually in a lawyer's office. But, and this is key, it's still under oath. This is exactly what the billionaire Leslie Wexner did as part of this same investigation.
Okay, so we've got the vocabulary down. Now we can get into the really juicy stuff. We can go from what was said to how it was said. This is where we start to see the real strategy behind the words.
This description from a reporter is so important. Phrases like came out fighting or a real takedown. What does that tell you? It tells you she wasn't playing defense. No, she was on the attack. This was a very calculated move to completely reframe the entire situation.
And right here, this is her most powerful weapon. These two words, political theater. By saying this, she's trying to make the entire hearing seem like a joke, like it's not a serious investigation at all. She's not just defending herself, she's accusing them of putting on a fake show for political points.
This is where the language gets super subtle, but also super powerful. She starts a sentence with, if they were serious. See what she's doing there? It's a classic rhetorical move. She's planting the idea that they aren't serious without ever having to say it directly. She's attacking their motives and their legitimacy, all with one tiny phrase. It's brilliant.
So when you boil it all down, her strategy is basically a three-punch combo. First, she dismisses the whole thing as a joke, right? Political theater. Second, she turns the tables and points the finger right back at her political rivals, specifically calling out Donald Trump. And third, she tries to expose what she sees as hypocrisy by pointing out that tons of Republicans showed up for her deposition, but hardly any went to another key witnesses. It's a textbook example of political self-defense.
Okay, on to our final section. Let's pull the camera way back now and see how all these different pieces, the facts, the vocab, the political language, how they all fit together to show us the big picture.
And this is why this story is so complicated. It's a whole web of connections. You've got the Clintons at the center of this hearing. You have Donald Trump, who Hillary pulls into the fight. You have people from Epstein's inner circle, like Ghislaine Maxwell, and super powerful businessmen like Leslie Wexner. And then you have the man running the whole show, James Comer. Every single one of these people has their own history, their own motives, and it all feeds into the drama.
This quick timeline really shows you how things escalated. At first, the Clintons didn't really want to participate. That led to a threat of contempt of Congress, which is a really serious charge. That pressure is what led to Hillary testifying today and why her husband, Bill, is scheduled for an even longer one tomorrow.
Okay, so we've done all this analysis. We've broken everything down. What's the bottom line? What is the one fundamental conflict at the very heart of this story?
At the end of the day, this whole thing really boils down to two competing stories. Is this a legitimate search for the truth, trying to get justice for victims? Or is it a politically motivated attack, a witch hunt that's just disguised as an investigation? Both sides are using really powerful language to try and convince you that their version of reality is the right one.
And that's what we're left with. This is the big question. Is this a real quest for accountability? Or is it just another episode of political drama? The thing is, now that you have the tools, you know the facts, you know the vocabulary, and you've seen the playbook, you can look right past the headlines and decide for yourself. And that ability, the ability to see the story behind the story, that is the real key to understanding the news.
喜欢这种学习方式，欢迎订阅我的频道，让我们一起用下一个10分钟，把商业英文变简单。